home time, Garmadon has captured all the elemental masters and is trying to find out what spell they gave Lloyd to send him back in time, and also trying to find out what time he was sent to. The elemental masters always refuse to tell him anything, do not speak. Garmadon then has them all thrown into a cell, and the elemental masters sit there and look at each other. Marrow, I think that's it, Master of the Mind, starts saying that we should be concerned about Lloyd. We have no idea what time he's in or where. Tanner, Master of Speed, says he has all of our mental powers. If anything, he should be unbeatable. Dan, the elemental master of gravity, I haven't given him a name yet. Leave names for the elemental masters in the comments below. I need names. I barely came up with the name for Rocky. Says he does have all of our powers, but what if he makes mistakes? What if we made a mistake giving him our powers? What if he really can't control them and he goes crazy in power? Deaton says Lloyd would never use his powers for evil uses. I know he can control them, and that will not happen. The others turn to her and nod their heads, believing she was telling the truth. Skylar then says, I agree with Nia. We should have faith in Lloyd, and that he will keep our powers safe. Master of Gravity again. Need a name, please. Then says, I sure hope you're right. Let's hope Lloyd will be alright and gains control over his new powers. And then they all sit silent. Then we see the others saying, so we're in the realm of the Oni and the dragon. What now? Then says, I say we find out who's in charge. Then Cole interrupted him in mid-sentence. Then what? Even if we do find out who is in charge, what do we do after that? Kaiden says, we gotta think about this. We can't be fighting for all we know. Lloyd could be in a cell being held captive at his father. We got to think smart about this. Cole then says, yeah, Kai's right. We can't be fighting. We need to make a plan. But where do we start? Then out of nowhere come these people. Come out of the saddles, and Kai pulls out his weapons and asks in a loud tone voice, who are you? Then they say, we are the dragon hunters. I don't know. And whoever you are, you're going down. And the others pull out their weapons. Insane says, that's what you think, but we're not going down without a fight. And then out of nowhere, a dragon begins to shoot fires of ice, freezing them. Then the ninja turned their attention to the dragon, and then they looked to see the familiar face. It was the Ultra Dragon, and it landed before them and gave them a loud roar, and lowered its head as the ninja come closer to them. And Cole was the first one to pet his dragon. Says, Rocky, you're back. It's been so long. Where have you been? And pets him and gives him a little hug, as much as he can. The others don't do this, but they do pet them, saying, thanks, Zard, for helping us out there. Zard gives out a little roar. Zing gives out a smile. And then the dragon hunters break out of the ice and retreat, say, This is not over, Ninja. The Ninja don't go after them and stay there with their dragon. Say then turns to the others. Anyone else up for a ride? It's been some time. Say then turns to say and says, that sounds nice. And he turns to Sard and asks him what he thinks. And he gave out a little roar and placed down his head for Sane to get on. And after Sane got on, the others got on as well. And when he took to the skies, they flew across the land, seeing tons of other dragons on the ground drinking water and others flying in the sky around them. Kai then turned to the others and says, this is amazing. And then Zane says, yeah, I agree. This is quite amazing. And so he says, oh, heck yeah, it's been forever since we last done this. So glad to have you back, boy, Cool then says. That makes both of us. And Zane turns to Zard and says, hey, Zard, do you know who's in Zard here? Zard gives out a roar, nodding his head no. Zane then says, well, that's just great. Kai then says, at least we have one familiar face around here. Well, make that 5. And then they seem to get to a cave, and they go inside. Then Kai uses elemental power of fire to light the way, but his power seems being weak, and the flame soon fades. Then Flare uses his power of fire to light the way by lighting up his mouth and opening enough light for them to see where they were going. Kai then turns to Flare. Good job, boy. Keep it up. Then the dragon proceeds further into the cave and let them get off. They then begin to run to keep up with their dragon. And Celine asks, where are you taking us, old friend? Lloyd then wakes up and starts to head downstairs and tells Celine that he's on his way out and that he was on his way to train with the others. They expect him to be there soon. He nods his head and then turns for him to go. And then he does, and Zane sees him comes down from the trees and says, good morning, Lloyd. You off to train with the elemental masters? Lloyd then says, yeah, I should be back before dark. Zane then nods and says, just make sure to watch out for those tree horns and to be safe. Lloyd then replies, they caught me off guard last time. They won't get so lucky this time. Now I'm getting better control over my powers. Zane nods his head and goes to return back to his work, while Lloyd begins to walk to where he was supposed to meet the elemental masters. And he ends up showing up early and catches Wu and Garmadon when they were in mid-battle. And he sits on the side of the monastery waiting for them to finish up their battle. When Garmadon and Wu notice Lloyd is watching them, they look towards him and ask how long he's been there. Lloyd comes down and says he hasn't been watching for too long. Wu walks up to Lloyd and says, staying early, want to join us in training while we wait for the others to arrive? Lloyd then says, sure, sounds like fun. Garmadon grabs one of his spare sparring swords and throws it towards Lloyd. Lloyd catches it and says, shall we begin? Garmadon then says, you sure sound assured in yourself. Wu then says, which of us would you like to battle first? Lloyd then says, don't hold back. Why not both of you? Wu and Garmadon look shocked. You wish to battle both of us? Asked Garmadon. Lloyd nods his head. Wu says, well, I guess if you want to, let's begin. Garmadon once again takes the first attack. Lloyd then quickly turns around and fights without fighting. and trying to wear them both of them out. Garmadon and Wu kept sending attacks at them, one after the other, but Lloyd kept avoiding their attacks. Garmadon and Wu then began to get very tired and are on each side of Lloyd. And then they both begin to use Spin Zitsu and come at him at fast speeds. Lloyd then uses Air Zitsu to avoid the attack, making Garmadon and Wu hit each other and make them go flying out of their Spin Zitsu. Lloyd then lands onto the ground and quickly rushes over to Wu and Garmadon to help them up. Wu then says, "That move is the same one you used last night to beat my brother." Garmadon then looks towards Lloyd. "Where did you learn that art? It was all in different colors and I don't see how that's possible. To fly like that?" Lloyd then looks towards Garmadon and says, "Like I said last night, it's called Air Zitsu," and Garmadon then talks when he's mid-sentence and says, "Does this Air Zitsu have any relationship to Spin Zitsu?" Wu then says, now that I think about it, they do sound very similar." Lloyd then says, "Only a Spin Zitsu master can do it." Then Garmadon and Wu look towards Wu. "Wait, are you saying you're a Spin Zitsu master like me, my brother?" Lloyd then lowers his head and remains silent. Garmadon then looks towards Lloyd. "How is that even possible? Anything else you want to tell us, Lloyd?" Lloyd then thinks about saying his words. Lloyd, we both know your father is if your father is this powerful, you will need to make allies of the elemental masters and their leaders, Wu and Garmadon." Lloyd then looks back up and says, "Yes, I'm not only a Spin Zitsu master, but I'm also an elemental master." Garmadon then says, "I knew it. I knew you were an elemental master." Then Wu says, "What element?" Lloyd then replies with, "All of them." Lloyd then looks towards Lloyd, looking in complete shock. "All of them? How is that even possible?" Garmadon seems to have the same reaction, but does not say anything. Lloyd then says, "I will explain everything, but can we do it inside? I don't want to risk someone watching us." Garmadon says, "Okay," and then they begin to go inside the monastery. Then they all sit down. Garmadon then says, "Okay, you better start talking." Lloyd then says, "Okay, I'll tell you everything." Then Lloyd begins to explain to them everything that has happened, and how he was chased away from his time, and how he gained his elemental powers, but he never mentioned the part on how he was able to contain all that power, and that he defeated the Overlord before and once held the golden power, and that they were really related, and is called Garmadon the Dark Lord. Not saying much other than that. Garmadon then says, "That does not explain how you know Spin Zitsu." Lloyd then tells Garmadon Lloyd then tells Wu that he trained him and taught him the art of Spin Zitsu, and that he was his successor in leading the elemental masters in the future, and now it was his job to keep the powers out of the hands of the new evil breathing lord. Wu then asks him what will happen if the powers falls into his hands. He raises his head and says, "All in Ninjago will be in complete darkness, and who knows what will be left of our home." Wu and Garmadon then look deeply concerned. "So you're an elemental master, and the successor of leading elemental master alliance. What was your original elemental power before gaining all of the new ones from the other elemental masters and being sent back here in time?" Lloyd then says, that's pretty much it. And my original elemental power was green energy. And I won't be able to face him again until I gain better control of my powers. He's very strong and he's someone I will not go down without a fight. Wu then says, we could help you learn to control your powers. If you have all of our elements, we can show you how to use them correctly. But we'll have to tell all the other elemental masters the truth. Lloyd then says, I'm fine with that. I need as much training with my new powers as I can get, even if it means telling the others about my powers. Garnon then says, if what you say is true, then there's no time to waste. Lloyd then says, I agree. If the Lord finds out where I am, everyone is at risk. I must warn you. I fear he may try to come after you and your powers if you're not careful, but I don't believe he will be coming anytime soon. He might try to come to this timeline, because he knows if he can't find me, he'll end up going after you instead, in your powers. So, I don't know. Then they go outside and begin to train a little bit more, and after the elemental masters show up and look towards Lloyd, who is training with their leaders. When they notice the elemental masters coming in, they stop and put their swords in their sword holders. Rocky then walks up to Wu and Garmadon and asks, why is he here? And Wu says, he will be training with us, and he has proven his worth to the team. Garmadon then says, okay, everyone, this is Lloyd, and there's something you need to know. And then out of nowhere, they see a black cloud coming from a nearby village. The master of gravity then goes up and uses it and flies up and tries to see what was happening, and the village was being attacked. And then he comes back and quickly tells them what was happening. Garmadon then looks Then Wu looks towards Lloyd and says, you ready to have our first mission with us? The announcement can wait until later. Lloyd then looks towards Wu and says, at this point, I'm ready for anything. Wu then says, then come on, let's go. Then they all begin to rush out of the monastery towards the village, and with Garmadon and Wu leading them and Lloyd running not far behind them, and all the other elemental masters. Then they get there and the village appears to be burned down. There's no sign of any snakes. Garmadon then says, what could have done this? And Wu then replies with, I have no idea. Usually we get here before the Serpentine are usually gone and we're able to fight them. And I don't remember them usually doing this much damage. He then turns to the others. Everyone searched for any survivors. They then begin to go in groups of 3. Garmadon, Wu, and Lloyd go into one of the groups. And while they were looking for survivors, Wu and Garmadon were sort of ahead, like looking around, and Lloyd is suddenly attacked by an anaconda and attempts to break free of the snake's grip, and is successful in using the power of nature to trap the snake in vines, but it soon breaks out, and then Lloyd throws a fire at it while avoiding its attack, but the fire seems to have no effect, and then he tries using the earth to knock the snake off his tracks and knock him over. And he took a good look at the snake and noticed it was an anaconda warrior. Then he sees Garmadon and Wu rushing up to him, and Lloyd sees them and asks, "Were you attacked by one of these snakes too?" Garmadon and Wu look at him in confusion. Garnon asks, what now? Lloyd then looks to the snake that he took down, and Wu says, I was attacked by a snake much like that. He then turns to Lloyd and asks, you know what these snakes are? I've only seen 4 different tribes of snakes, and I'm sure and this is one I've never seen. Lloyd then says, yes, I do. They're immune to elemental powers and high trained in combat. I'm honestly surprised I was able to take this one out. I barely put much effort into it, but I honestly did get surprised attacked by it. He did raise his head quickly and turns to Garmadon and Wu. He says, we must go find the others quickly. If all 3 of us were attacked, I'm sure they were as well. What if they've been captured? They don't have the power. Most elements don't work on these snakes, so they could have been possibly captured. Wu and Garmadon nod their heads, agreeing with Lloyd. Wu then says, we have no time to waste. Let's hurry and find everyone. Garmadon and Wu then begin to go search for the other elemental masters, and they begin to find the others, and soon they were all back together, and they begin to discuss what their next moves would be. And they question the snakes. Garmadon turns to Lloyd and says, you're right, it must have been planned. Then Wu comes over and says, you don't think this is a little too smart for snakes? We never seen them do anything like this before. Then Lloyd says, you see, the anacondae are smarter, stronger, and faster than other 4 snake tribes, and are immune to elemental powers. They're one of the main leaders of all of the 4 snake tribes. Although the other 4 snake tribes have their generals, their main leader is the general of the anacondae. The other elemental masters look to Lloyd in amusement, and Tanner, master of speed, comes up to Lloyd and asks him how he knows of these snakes, and they don't. Lloyd then replies saying, these snakes are no threat of the future, but they do cause a war in what history I have heard from the future. The elemental masters versus these snakes. Which are you? The future? Tanner asked. What do you mean? Yeah. Wu then comes over and says, yeah, I was about to announce that before we seen the cloud of smoke. I will explain everything when we get back to the monastery. Lloyd then says, we cannot rest. Now, the anacondae have arisen. It's only a matter of time before more show up. I fear even with all of our elemental powers confined, we won't be able to defeat them. Garna then turns to Lloyd. You are from the future. You must know how you must know some weakness. How to defeat them. Lloyd then says, all snakes have a weakness, but you may think it's crazy. Their weakness is actually a flute. Wu then looks to Lloyd in confusion. A flute? What is a flute gonna do against an anacondae warrior like that? Even our elemental masters don't work against elemental powers don't work against it. What is a flute gonna do for us? Not just any flute. And then a snake flute. the ones that snake tamers use to tame a snake and make it like dance in their basket or something. I don't really know. But that's the kind of flute we need. Don't believe me if you don't want to, but I would say too, believe me. Wooden says, I believe you. If you're from the future, so this must be true. We need to find one of these flutes. With one of them, I bet we can get the upper hand on the serpentine. Governor then turns to the others and asks if anyone found any survivors. Everyone shakes their heads no. And Governor turns to Boo and asks, do you think they've all been captured by the snakes? Boo says, I have no doubt about it. We should all head back. Boo then says, we should all head back to the monastery to make a plan of attack. And then we should all go out searching for their base, and try to at least find out where they're hiding, and try to at least pinpoint their location. Goronon then shakes his head, and so do all the other elemental masters, agreeing with Woo. Then they all begin to head back. Lloyd then goes up to Goronon and says, I should probably be heading back. I told my friend that I would be back before dark. Goronon then shakes his head. Just keep an eye out for those anacondae. And if you see anything, let us know tomorrow when you're back. Lloyd then says, I will. And I should be around in the morning the same time I was today. No doubt about it. Goronon then shakes his head and begins to go running to catch up to the others. And then Lloyd begins to go his way and goes back up and goes to catch up to and goes to back to the house tree. Lloyd then gets there and opens the door. Saying greets him as he came further into the house and asks what all happened. Lloyd then says, I'll explain over dinner. Then Julia comes over and says, Aw, you're finally back. So what all happened? Lloyd then says, so much, you're probably not even gonna believe me. But then again, it's pretty believable, but let's just say my day was variously eventful. Instead of just training. Julian then says, well, dinner is ready if you are. Lloyd replies with saying, yeah, dinner sounds nice, thanks. Then Lloyd tells them everything that happened that day. And then Zane and Julian tell Lloyd about their new invention, the Falcon. The Falcon then flies over to Lloyd and lands on his shoulder. Lloyd then suddenly pets the bird and it begins to fly away. Again. Lloyd then says, he's nice. That's nice. Cute. Saying this says, I'm glad you think so. Well, after today, I'm guessing you are very tired. Lloyd then replies with, yeah, I kinda am. I think I'm going to sleep early tonight. And thanks again for the dinner. Then Lloyd then goes back to sleep. Hello guys, and welcome, and here's the 4th episode of Ninjago, my storyline. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I know I certainly am having fun making these videos, and I hope you are enjoying the series as much as I am. And until next time guys, bye.